CMMS Radio talks about all things CMMS, computerized maintenance management software, focused on maintenance management. It's the people, the process, and the culture that make your CMMS journey a success. Welcome back to CMMS Radio. He's on screen. It's Joe Anderson. He's at ReliabilityX. He's COO, but he's a hell of a lot more than that. He's an awesome human being that will tell you the truth. He's not shy about it, and he wants to help. Joe, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Radio.
It's always good. It's always good.
You know, you and I talk a lot, and a lot of our conversations we can't record, and it's because we kind of want to go hard, and plenty of people say, come on, guys, go hard on the podcast. And it's like, yeah, we will, but we will. But we're not trying to crush anybody. We're talking about stuff like, you know, what have we been up to? What are we doing? What are we dealing with? I was just telling Joe a story about something I saw today that, you know, people sometimes take the wrong approach to solving a problem, even though they solved the problem. But as a result of this thing that I saw, they're going to spend a lot more money. So I want to start off with that, Joe.
That's just a lack of knowledge, right? And a lack of the proper tools and understanding with that situation specifically. But we see it. It's a trend even in the industry. Yeah. It's not that, you know, as reactive as we are, it's not that they're doing it intentionally. There's no ill will behind it. It's just they only are doing what they know to do.
Right.
And, but that's why, you know, people like us exist, is to try to raise them up in the right way, make their life a lot easier and a lot less stress, and gain control. So, our goal is fairly simple. In maintenance, there's three things. And that is, don't be the source of the problem. Make problems go away. And reduce things like deterioration. Right? It's fairly simple concept, but, you know, it's the truth, is we create a lot of the defects because we're either rushed to do a job, there's pressure on us to do a job, we don't know any better, whatever. So we slap things together to get things running as quickly as possible so that we could go again. But in and of itself has created even more defects that we're going to have to deal with down the line, right?
Yeah.
Solve problems, make them go away. It's not hard. Spend 10 minutes out on a line, you see it stopping 5 times, and it's probably the same stopping the line. Make the problem go away. Right?
What do you think people do? Let me rephrase that. What is it that people are not doing that cause these same things we hear about, the same things we talk about, we learn about it at conferences, we talk to our friends that really know stuff? Where is that hiccup? And I know this is a common question I ask you.
There's 4 things. One is 4 things. So, improper maintenance strategy. So we don't understand asset strategy development. That's part 1. Part 2, precision maintenance. We do not do things with precision, which is almost a synonym for reliability, right? When we go out to the floor to do something, you do it one of 2 ways, reliably or unreliably, right? It's the same. You do it with precision or without precision. And without precision, you continue to have problems. And as those problems stack up, you begin your vicious cycle, right? And that vicious cycle of reactive maintenance. Mm-hmm. Next is being able to detect oncoming failure so you can get ahead. That's predictive technologies. We have to be able to see oncoming failure so that we can do things about it in a planned downtime situation, not an unplanned downtime situation. And the fourth is lubrication. Taking care of degradation, doing oil analysis to understand, at a minimum, understanding the condition of the machine. Like a lot of people say, oh, it's a small gearbox. It only takes a quarter of a quart or whatever. Okay. Pull the sample, send it out, replace the oil with clean oil. Don't worry about the condition of the oil. If you're going to replace it, say every quarter, you're pulling samples, but at least know the condition of the gearbox. It gives you the ability to see oncoming failure so you can change out the gearbox before, and so it's really those four basic things, and couple that with some other best practices, understanding best practice. I think that's the largest gap in the industry.
And
But
that
I don't want to go on a rant there, but everybody's under the belief that metrics are best practices. And that
those
can
are
be
separate.
further.
Those are
It
separate.
can be further from the truth.
Yeah.
Metrics are the result of the practices that you have in place, whether good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
They're not a best practice. And us teaching that in industry, I believe, is one of the main contributors to why the red-green mentality exists. So none of us want to be called liars, but all of us manipulate data in order to make things green because we either have a bonus tied to it or we get our heads beat in because it's not green. It's not about our practices that we're changing and putting in place to ensure that the metric is green. We're focused on the metric itself because we're taught that those are the best practices, and those aren't best practices. They're the result of the best practice. So you have that piece as well.
So I had a question about this, just number 4 on the lubrication. And when we talk about this small gearbox, and we know, for sake of this discussion, we're going to say that we know if you're going to change out that oil and just start fresh every quarter, and you know that that's good, you certainly want to take that opportunity to inspect that gear and make sure that it's still within spec for its original
It
condition
depends on the
design.
size of the gearbox. Typically, with that small of a sump, there's no way to do that, right? So
Yep.
the bigger gearboxes you can, but smaller gearboxes, um, you're not. But you can check backlash,
Okay.
and you can set a standard on backlash and what's allowable. Given the size of the gearbox and stuff, and you say, "Oh, well, this has an eighth of an inch of backlash. We need to change it out." Set a standard because you
Now,
know that your gears are starting to wear. That's what's causing you to have the backlash.
right, right.
Right. So
Now,
there's things like that you can do. Putting breathers on gearboxes so you don't blow seals. I don't know how every single place I go, you see oil, seals blown in gearboxes everywhere. There's probably no oil in them. You put your hand on them, you're going to burn your hand on the gearbox, right? And that heat transfers to the motor, and then you're going to end up breaking down the insulation in the motor. All because we don't put breathers on gearboxes, right? Like, it's a simple fix. This industry isn't complex. There's nothing complex about it. It's very simple. The problem is we're overwhelmed with information, so it's hard for us to understand just how simple it is. Maintenance is a piece of cake. The problem is we don't understand what right looks like because no one's ever taught us before, or no one, and that's why so many places are reactive.
and does this come from the idea that there's too much information and most of it is complete nonsense? It's not correct. It's thought to be
No, I
correct.
mean it's like if you're even attempting to learn, number one, a lot of people don't even know that there's another world of maintenance that exists. All they know is that reactivity. So that's one. And we haven't been great at being able to reach as many people as we all hope that we can as a collective, right? All of us. And all of us fall short of it. And if we knew the secret formula to do that, we would all be doing it. But that's one piece of it. Those that are learning, you read 15 different books, 15 different opinions, and it all depends on how things are explained. Typically, it's almost all saying the same thing, just from a different perspective, and that becomes overwhelming. You're like, well, I have to do this or I have to do that. And you get it. I was that way as I was learning all this stuff. It's like, well, I have to do this and that. And then you realize, no, I don't. It's most of the stuff is fake. Like you go to conferences and you listen to people talk and they're just regurgitating theory. They're not giving you practical application. So they read the book too, and now they're presenting on the book. And then when you ask questions like, can you give me an example of how you did that? They can't answer the question. Right. So you have a lot of that. And most of us, I know me, because I'm not the smartest guy in the room ever. It's information overload at these conferences because you're going from place to place. You're sharing 50 different things, AI and CMMS, and then I go to planning and scheduling, then I go to an oil analysis thing, then I go to a vibration analysis thing, then I go, and it's so much information. And a lot of that is because we don't have a plan when we attend these conferences to scale down and focus on one or two things and just solely focus on those one or two things. So go to all the presentations that represent those one or two things. What are the one or two biggest gaps you have in your facility? And find things that support closing that gap. What we tend to do is we try to go to everything and then we get overloaded, right? And so, those that are learning, we get overwhelmed for a while. But the best way to gain experience is to learn something and then go try it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what you realize, what worked for me at one place, there'll be slight variations for what works. It's same in principle. This is what people don't understand. The principles don't change, right? But when you're implementing things, there's always slight nuances that make it a little different. And so in principle, nothing really changes. Like it's all the same stuff. Predictive maintenance is predictive maintenance, right? But we always have our operating context, our own culture that we have to deal with. There's slight nuances. But what I will say is the most common phrase I hear when I walk into places is, you don't understand, Joe, we're different. And that couldn't be further from the truth. The problems are the same.
Are people saying that because that gives them almost like an air gap to the reality that they're just not doing it well?
I don't think it's intentional. I think they really believe that because they can't solution the problem. And so, because they don't know any better, right? It's just they know what they know and they don't know what they don't know. And so, at least in my experience, that in my opinion, that's what I think it is. I don't think it's now. When somebody is trying to be a jerk and throw you off, but that's not the norm. Most people really believe that they're different, but that's why a conference or any of these networking events, people get their eyes open because they realize, hey, you're in power generation and I'm in food manufacturing, but your problems are just the same as my problems. And they can start to relate, and make those connections. But it's true. I mean, most of the problems are the same.
Well, you and I were talking about how at these conferences like SMRP and plenty of other ones, right, where we get to see the people that we know, we get to see some people that we don't know or that we knew of, but we're finally meeting them in person. And we get in these conversations that they might happen at a booth. I think a lot of them happen either during or after some of these presentations where everybody locks onto something and all of a sudden you see these heads turning in the room and two or three people have some different things to contribute. At first, it sounds like this is going off the rails, and all of a sudden, you're all talking about the same thing, kind of on the same page, and in a sense, solutioning, at least with ideas.
Well, the difference is the idea on how to solution it. The problem itself is pretty much the same, right? But then we all have our own way of solutioning the problem. So,
yeah,
for sure.
It's interesting when you described it that way, though, because I'm thinking of all the experiences I've had. I've been in the room that you're in when someone else is presenting, and there's 3 or 4 people kind of coming at the same thing, and then all of a sudden they start to get really lined up pretty well and some things actually get done. And then those people go have other conversations. And
Yep.
then I think about all my time in the world of CMMS and how many different types of industries, organizations, facilities, what they're producing, what they're delivering, blah, 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 different roles within the organization, and
Yeah.
how you see all these similarities, but you're trying to figure out when you're in these conversations, what are you really talking about? What are you really dealing with? I know what it is, but I want to hear you say it. I want you to articulate it so that now I know I have a way to help you. And all people want is some help. They don't want to
Yeah.
be sold to. They don't want all these empty promises of like tomorrow, these easy buttons and all that, because it's a bunch of bullshit,
Mm.
frankly. And I'm not saying don't come up with cool solutions and sell stuff and have good tech, but have stuff that actually delivers.
Well, great marketing wins all the time. It doesn't mean that it's great tools or implementation, but great
Right.
marketing always wins. So
Well,
it's
so
psychology.
I want to ask you about if we move away from that and we get into the value of a real case study, a real story about what's happened in a plant. Like I like when somebody presents about something that they did at their plant rather than somebody telling me what they did at someone else's plant for them,
Mm-hmm.
because there's something in it that
Yep.
just makes some kind of sense to me. And I think that's what you were kind of talking about when we were not recording, where we really do need to hear from the plant floor. We really need to hear from people that have actually done it and screwed it up and figured it out and then kind of fixed it and how they fixed it. Do you
Yep.
think case studies could be presented in a different way? And I'm going somewhere with this, where we're almost showing in real time a synthetic version of what we actually did in that environment. Would that be a better way to present somebody how something was solved?
Well, the last few presentations that I did at big conferences, I
Mhm.
presented with a client for that reason. Is I don't want to sit there and tell them what I can do for them. I want them to see what they did for themselves. Right? It's we're there kind of coaching and guiding and you know, sometimes really hands on, sometimes not. It depends on the skill sets of the people that we're working with.
Mhm.
But I would rather them do the talking and things that they did to make it successful.
Yeah.
Right. I did a presentation um, with Liza from Johnsonville, and I did one. I had Chad Pennings from Johnsonville step in for Kevin from LPC,
Mhm. Mhm.
but he did that as well. Like that's the route I would rather go and show what some of the problems were, how we overcame some of the problems. You know, there like I said, there's always nuances to things. You know, you walk into Johnsonville, they run a bunch of rapid packs. I have multi-pack experience, but not rapid pack experience. So there's a little variation between rapid packs and multi-packs, right? So I'm learning just as much when I'm there as they're learning from me. Like they're teaching me, I'm teaching them. And so I like to put that out there. I think there's benefit to that for sure. I
I think
mean, we
that's
can
what.
teach theory all day long, but people want to see action. We're
Yeah.
so starved for people taking action, and the theory's just getting old at this point. It's redundant. It's tiring, you know.
Yeah.
Like, so people want to see what you actually did, and
Yeah.
so yeah.
I the thing I keep kind of wrestling with in my mind is how can we make something that is really engaging for the people that choose to attend. I'm not talking about the conference. I'm talking about
Mm-hmm.
when you're at the conference and then you go over here because you want to see this in action. And it's going to
Mm-hmm.
have a couple of different technologies, some real deal experts, some of the customers that are representative of what actually was done,
Mm-hmm.
even pieces of equipment, and
Mm-hmm.
actually like an actual workshop that is not
Mm-hmm.
just a presentation, not just a bunch of sizzle, but even something where some
More
stuff could go.
hands-on demonstration, that type of stuff.
Yeah, where some stuff could maybe even go wrong. Or,
Yeah.
well, you know, Rich Wurzbach.
Yep.
Like if you sit with him and you go through a demonstration of Grease Thief,
Mm-hmm.
For someone like me, I'm going to screw the whole thing up. For
Yep.
him, that's awesome because then he can help me. So I feel like the same thing is sometimes missing, and everybody's running around. I'm not trying to tear the conferences down. I'm just saying
No, it's just
there's something that's not there that we need.
providing another level of value.
Yeah,
Right. I
yeah,
mean, there's a lot of value in the learning and the education piece, right?
yeah.
And the training and that type of stuff. But if you added another layer of value, the problem is it all depends on the type of company you are.
Yeah.
Like for us, I would have to, for example, if we wanted to talk about, say, center lining, I'd have to bring in like all kinds of equipment and all that's like, there's no way we're hauling that type of stuff around. Now, if we were doing a public workshop, that'd be a little different, but, um, so it kind of depends on the company. But
I
there's a
wonder.
lot of companies, like Ludeca, they'll do demos right there at
Oh
their
yeah,
booth,
yeah,
So, I mean, you are getting some of that, and some of their presentations are around those demos, or they'll do a workshop, on Monday. Like we're doing a workshop on Monday. Ramesh and George are on kind of high level helping them build an asset strategy. And so they have something tangible to walk away with when they leave the conference that they can go try and implement.
yeah.
Right. And so that's kind of the goal of the workshop. So there are all those workshops. Um, there's a lot of different workshops that try to kind of piece that value piece in there. Um, so it just kind of depends.
Yeah, yeah.
But
And
yeah,
I don't think we're trying to solve it right here. We just I
no,
love getting it going, thinking about it out loud,
sure.
and we're not trying to be right. We're just trying to say
I
let's
mean,
keep let's
innovation and ideas are always good, right? And so
yeah,
you could try it, fail miserably, who knows? But you don't know if you don't try it.
that's right. And then other people can get involved and say, I see what you were doing. What if you try this? Or somebody else
Right,
might say, I get it, but you missed this and this. And it's like
right.
that's an opportunity. That's an
Yeah, yeah,
actual opportunity. And people shouldn't get I tell people all the time, if like even if they're going to come on here, they're like, "Wow, I don't have anything to say" and all that. I'm like, "Bullshit! You come on here,
yeah.
you are going to add value." And they're like, "Yeah, but I don't know what this guy and this guy said." That's not it. It's
Yeah,
not showing off. It's
yeah,
showing what you're dealing with, what you're
right,
running into, all that
for
kind of
sure.
stuff. So
Yeah,
for me, and I know you make time for this at night, so I appreciate you doing it, man.
yeah, man.
Um,
All day, whatever.
always,
Do it
always
every day.
good to hook up. And some of that other stuff we didn't record about, I'm going to be excited to someday share the news about that. Um, and maybe even this year. So that's a little teaser, everybody. Can't tell you anything more. Joe Anderson, this guy is going to be at SMRP. It's October 6th through 9th. And get there, hang out with him. He's going to be hanging out with me. So is his whole team and a whole bunch of other people. I'm going to be at a special booth doing Friends of Nano, as in Nano Precise, presented by CMMS Radio.
It's gonna
And we're
be
going to do
awesome.
a bunch of interviews. I'm going to have the ReliabilityX rig. I call it the recording rig. It's going to be a blast. We're going to chop it up. Anybody that hears this, come over, say hello, see if you want to tell me about something you learned at one of the workshops, one of the sessions, anything like that. It's going to be a blast. I can't wait to see you in Texas, Joe.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, anybody willing. I mean, we love to bring new people into the fold, man. So don't be afraid to introduce yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll see you
looking
in
forward
Fort
to it.
Worth, man. Thanks
Yeah,
for
yeah.
being on CMMS Radio. Joe
Hey, no
Anderson,
worries.
ReliabilityX.
Yeah. Have a good night, guys.
Did you find this episode helpful? Please send us some feedback, suggest a topic, or ask a question. Reach out to CMMS Radio if you need a co-pilot on your CMMS project. Visit CMMSradio.com and use the What's on Your Mind link. Thank you for tuning in to CMMS Radio, your resource for all things CMMS, from selection to implementation, to help you make better choices, learn from industry experts, and have a successful CMMS journey.